right, so where we left off last with the associative arrays, pulling from other arrays and all this stuff, was that we also have the issue of my lists sometimes have blanks in them, and what we had seen is that then you end up with a 0 in your list. So what's the next step to get rid of the blanks?
Correct, yeah. So
or other characters, I guess.
It could be also other characters, right? Yeah, let's take the sample we had before. So we actually catch up here with the list we have created in our previous lesson. And yeah, like you said, so an empty space. And because an empty space is then stored in our array, in our associative array, and the spreadsheet then retrieves this as a 0. So somehow I would like to avoid this. And when I can do this with empty space or an empty string, I also can avoid other character sets, like specific names maybe should not be added to the list. So I can actually adjust the code in a way that I get delete duplicates and specific character sets.
Okay, like the tilde that
the tilde, for example, exactly. And this is quite straightforward here because let's take a look to our code we had from our previous session. So we are looping through the given set of names where the empty space is inside, and then we check is the content or the string already in our associative array, yes or no, and then we are going to add the missing piece or not if it's there. So what we have to do now, so let's take the second version of our function here. So everything is the same except there's another if statement inside.
Okay, so wait, I need to compare this a little bit. Okay, so it's basically just the bottom part, it's for the most part exactly like up top with fewer comments.
Correct.
Okay, and then now the if statement you're
exactly.
Going to do. Okay,
yeah. And the if statement is now checking, and you see it's not the associative array we are going to create and feed. So here we are reading the content of the given array right now, but in the for loop, and we are comparing with an empty string. So what we are doing is, and again the exclamation point, so what we are doing is run our second part, so actually the main part that is feeding our associative array, so go there only if we have something that is not empty.
Okay.
Yeah. So kind of avoidance again. So we check on if this is not empty, then do the next step.
Okay.
Because then we are sure when it's not empty, then we have to check is Lucas already in our list, yes or no. But if it's empty, I don't have to process. And so I avoid that the system by accidentally put some empty space or empty characters into our array. And because we are doing this here with a comparison, so if whatever is inside currently is equal to nothing, you can imagine you can also do other checks here. So for specific names like the tilde, for example, so you can put here if it's tilde, as if it's not tilde, then do. If it's tilde, then skip it. We don't want to have this in our list.
Okay, yeah. So it's basically with this if statement, we're not going to fill anything in it. Yeah, unless it's filled or wait.
Correct.
Unless it's filled.
Yeah.
Or skipping it if it's certain characters or whatever.
Correct.
And only at that point do we go into the next if statement where then we actually fill the new array.
Exactly.
All right. Then let's see.
Let's see. The result is here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you see, it's the same list. In this case, our formula is now the second. So number 2 at the end, a little bit small here, but you see this is number 2. So we are referencing currently to the function with the number 2 at the end. So the enhanced version, we have the same content inside, and as soon as I drop something, so we have 2 empty cells now. Nothing. So we don't have this issue like the top version where we have a 0 inside.
Yeah. So then my next, I guess, thing would be, this is still hard-coded. It's still a static list. Can I make it more dynamic from here already?
Yeah, so I have always to write something inside so that I can drive the function to do something. But Yeah, so we have kind of dynamic list generation, but the source, even if it's now from a function point of view, it's just a range that can contain some values. So the range we are referencing is small or big, whatever. So from the function point of view, we are already dynamic, but the content that is in the range is not dynamic. Correct. So what would be great is like you asked, the pulling this from somewhere. And let's see. I guess I have prepared something. So let's say we have a subset.
Okay.
So I have prepared a subset here that actually is connected to the customer dimension, where I want to read the countries and the salesperson of this specific country. So it's already prepared, and it gives me elements in terms of countries and the associated salesperson, and because I need to get to the alias information, in this case fed by the attribute, I need a 2-column base subset, right? So we delete everything here, the columns, the both information, and I put my formula inside. Be sure that I have to be sure that I have 2 columns highlighted. Control Shift Enter, because it's subset, that I need an array. So there we are. I pull now from the database the countries, and from the alias, from the attribute salesperson, I pull the salesperson information, and you see David, 3 times David, and our list has David only once. We have Julia and Eric multiple times. So the formula is working, and now we pull the data from the database.
Yeah, that's exactly what I like as we move along, is now we're actually working with the database in the background, which is exactly what I want for things like that. So great, finally getting closer to the goal.
Yeah, one thing is still a little bit annoying me. I cannot change, as I have to change the subset content. So I have to change the subset parameters to get to maybe another region. So this is maybe region East. So I want to check for region West to make it even more dynamic. Yeah. So
like the initial report.
Correct.
In Excel,
So let's do this with the next lesson.
Sounds good.